In this video, we're going to be giving you 10 surefire ways to start carrying your ranked games as Omen. What's going on, guys? It's your host Sergeant Frost, and today we're going to go over some techniques that the best Omen mains use to carry in their ranked games. Omen's kit gives them access to a wide variety of sneaky and aggressive plays that can really confuse and infuriate your enemies, all while giving you some style points along the way. So let's get right into it. Our first tip is one that's becoming increasingly popular among Omen mains these days, and that's the teleport jiggle peek. The way you do this is really simple. Step 1, you're behind cover close to a corner. Step 2, you run backwards and get ready to TP. Step 3, you jump and look around to see if there's anyone home. Do it successfully and you'll either know the angle is clear or you can get ready to swing a confused opponent. Profit either way. This move works well for a couple of reasons. Since you come around the corner jumping doing a strange animation, it can make it very difficult for the enemies to hit a headshot or even react in time. Secondly, the enemies can't really tell where you've teleported to. They might think that you've teleported out from behind cover instead of back into it, and so they might look away from the angle, which would be the perfect opportunity for you to finish them off. The next tip on our list is all about one-way smokes. One-ways can be an extremely useful way to get free kills onto opponents by blocking their line of sight, while still having their legs visible beneath the smoke. As of patch 6.0, Omen smokes don't stay where they're inside the walls and need a ledge to sit on, making it harder to do one-ways. Thankfully, many doors in Valorant have ledges to place his smokes on. Here are 5 quick examples to get you started. There's this lamp on tree on ascent, which can be perfect for stopping those fast A splits. Just line up your smoke with the lamp here until you see the green arrow appear and the one-way is ready to go. Another great way is on A main, where you can position yourself on heaven and send a smoke over to this lip on the entrance, which would mean enemies can't push without their toes being spotted. Just make sure you're up on heaven for this one for it to work perfectly. Here's one for opponents pushing the ramp on split. Just line it up with this small indent until the green arrow shows up again, and voila, any attackers will think twice about running it down. Here's a nice little setup you can do in C Garage on Haven. Just send your smoke forward from this little window above the door until that green arrow appears again, and there you go. This is another one where being positioned slightly higher up would make it even more effective to give you a more advantageous angle. And finally, our personal favorite, a one-way you can do for A long on Haven. For this one, place the smoke so that it's sticking as far out of this box as possible. Then play from the right hand of the site. The reason this works so well is because enemies don't think of it as a threat, since they have to clear the line of sight in front of them, and they don't recognize the danger from their left until it's too late. Make sure to play around with Omen smokes in custom games to find some creative one-ways of your own. As a general tip, seeing a green arrow means you're on the right track. Now, before we go over the rest of these tips, I quickly want to talk to you about our website, ProGuides.com. If you're looking for the fastest way to improve, our guides, handmade by some of the best pros in the scene, boot camps, and personalized coaching can really help you out. Everything is available now for just $8 a month, so check it out if you're serious about getting better at Valorant. Whether you're struggling against enemy rushes on a save round, or you just want to make your opponents mad, the next tip is for you. Using smokes as a cover to sit inside with shotguns is an incredibly strong way to net multiple kills against aggressive enemies, and it can very quickly turn the tables on your enemies. You can do this one of 2 ways, either when defending by smoking off the area the enemies are trying to take and lying in wait inside it, or by placing smokes in front of you as a cover and walking through them to close the gap between you and your opponents and jumping out guns blazing. If you want to win and don't concern yourself with being honorable, definitely try it out. When elo's on the line, sometimes you gotta play a little dirty. The 4th tip we got for you is all about being creative with his ultimate. The main problem people have with Omen's ultimate is that it can be too predictable and it's really loud. But there are ways you can use that against opponents to your benefit. Here are 2 ultimate spots that can really catch enemies off guard. On Haven, everyone knows Omen loves to teleport up into A heaven with their ultimate. But what fewer people know is that if you select this part of the map when ulting, you can actually teleport to under heaven, because the audio cue sounds like it's coming from the same direction. A lot of the time, enemies won't even bother to turn around. This works best after already ulting into heaven once it's half, so that they're conditioned to think you'll do it again. Or another cool ultimate you can use is this, to try and catch enemies who are stalled out in A main on ascent. Just use your ultimate on top of this box in the attacker's spawn, and you'll have a sight line straight through to A main where you can catch enemies unaware and net plenty of cool kills. The next tip may sound obvious, but it isn't done nearly enough by Omens, and that's getting a lot of verticality with teleports. Most sites have a bunch of high boxes to teleport onto, either to hold off angles on defense, or to appear above defenders on attack. Taking just one site as an example, A site on Haven has 3 different tall boxes on site that can catch enemies off guard on their push. Those 3 being the tall box by A short, the L-shaped tall box by A long, and the wide green boxes in the middle of sight. The big advantage by playing these off angles is that enemies are usually not naturally pre-aiming, and they'd have to displace their crosshair by a lot to shoot at you. This gives you plenty of time to kill them, or at the very least serve as a great distraction for your teammates to do so instead. On attack, teleporting upwards can be hugely beneficial as well and can really catch enemies off guard. A great example of this is when pushing A site on split. Teleporting up into your heaven smoke is an amazing way to shoot enemies in the back, particularly if you have a teammate on ramp distracting them. Don't be afraid of getting aggressive and trying to break into the opponent's back line. Remember, there's no reward without a little risk. Next up, we've got a little bit of cool Omen tech you can employ to really impress your teammates. As you know, if you get caught in the radius of a Killjoy's ultimate when the timer hits 0, you'll be detained and unable to move smoothly or use your weapons. This usually means that after a Killjoy lockdown is completed, players can be confident that the entire area is clear to push into. However, if you happen to have your Omen ultimate ready to use at the same time, by using it to teleport out of the lockdown's radius when Killjoy's ultimate is at 2 seconds, and then canceling your ultimate after the Killjoy ult is done, you're able to reappear within the radius of the lockdown shortly after it's completed. The enemies won't expect you to be anywhere near them, and chances are you could find them with their knife out. Use this in your rank games to secure those multi-kills and win the round for your team. Next up, we're talking about Omen's Paranoia ability, also known as his Blind. It's an incredibly strong ability that both blinds and deafens anything that it hits, traveling 32.5 meters in any direction. When an Omen blind is traveling towards an enemy, they get a visual indicator on their screen letting them know that it's coming so they can avoid it. What fewer people know is that if you're moving either forwards or backwards, you can make the blind travel faster or slower respectively. I can't think of many situations where you'd want your Omen blind to be traveling slower, so make sure to be moving forwards when you're throwing your Paranoia to increase its speed and give enemies less time to avoid it. The 8th tip on our list is about a cool combination of ultimates that can work really well if done right. As we mentioned earlier, the major drawback of Omen's ultimate is that it's very loud and therefore easy to track down for enemies. But there just happens to be an agent whose ultimate deafens your opponents and makes them prime pickings for a freshly ulted Omen. I'm talking, of course, Fade. By using Fade's ultimate into an area, then Omen ulting into that area afterwards, you're appearing among deafened enemies who won't be able to tell where you are off sound alone. That means that you could in theory ult right behind them, and they wouldn't have a clue that you're there until they're already out of the round. So if you see Fade gearing up to use their ultimate on an area, get ready to use yours as well. This combo can really get you some hard-hitting results. The final tip on our list is about Omen's Paranoia once again. This time, it's about how you can use his blind to mask the use of utility to reposition. People sometimes seem to forget that the Paranoia ability blinds and deafens the opponents. So because of that, your shrouded step teleports are totally silent, and you can go anywhere you want, whether that's on top of a box above an enemy, away from them, or even behind them. Using it as a tool to be able to reposition without repercussion is an excellent use of the ability, and it can really help win those extra gunfights you need to win a game. It can also help as a support tool for other agents with movement abilities. So don't be afraid to use Omen's blind to set up a jet dash, raise satchels, or a neon slide. Here are 2 great spots on split to set up your teammates with Omen's Paranoia. The first is a blind that gets all of B Heaven. Once your team has taken control of mid, stand up on this ledge and mark it, and using the tip we talked about earlier to make your blind travel faster, walk forward and throw your blind into heaven. After that, have your team follow it up as fast as they can to catch the blinded enemies before they can get away. The second blind you can throw from sewers at the start of the round to get A ramp, have your fast movement agent make their way up after the blind to take quick control of the area and maybe a fast entry kill as well. And lastly, don't be afraid to be aggressive if you've already done your job. If you used your smokes and you made sure entering the site has become reasonably safe for your duelists, nothing's stopping you from going a little aggressive and helping them frag out yourself. Obviously, you don't have to run it down, but if you time your TP with the flash top side of B Haven, or if you go into the A split heaven smoke like we mentioned before, you can apply lots and lots of pressure, and you can make your team's sight hits go more swiftly. And there you have it, 10 tips to carry with Omen in your rank games. If you used any of these plays before in your games, be sure to let us know how it went. And if you watched up until now, don't forget to leave a like and hit the subscribe button to see more videos like this one. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all in the next one.